Right, when you first log in, you come to a screen that looks a little bit like this. So what we'll do is we'll just take a couple of minutes to run through the different features, functions as they stand. Alright, the idea of the first main screen is to give you an overview of what is happening with everything that is in hand. So on the left hand side you have a diary with appointments, tasks, whatever you have set for yourself. Okay, towards the right hand side of the same screen what you have is all your current contracts, of which in this example we are showing 8. So you have the current contracts, the type of contract, the address, the beginning date, the end date of the contract, and the last date that was invoiced. Now this will be useful to make sure that none of your contracts get ignored in your invoicing process if you have to invoice on a monthly basis. You will see that there's flags against certain records here. What that means is that those records need to be attended to. There's something wrong. And you will see in this instance the last invoice date is the 31st of October. The current date today is the 21st of December. So that invoice is more than 30 days old and it has not been paid in full yet. Alright, so you got a very quick overview of exactly what is happening from an overall perspective in your business. From this page you can obviously click here to go to your full calendar. You can view a list of your advertisers, view your drop points, log and view your expenses, and go to your reporting, your different forms of reports. Right, so moving on, what we will do is we will go through the various functions which are available at the moment. So the first place we will go to is to have a look at all of your current advertisers. Alright, so your advertisers are displayed in a list type format with all of the basic information around each advertiser. You obviously have a search function and you have a status for each advertiser. You will see as we look down you have various statuses, those being whether they are just a lead, whether they are pending, or whether they are actually active contributors. Alright, those will obviously govern whether those advertisers are used in the correlation of a particular edition at any point in time. Alright, you have various sectors to which you can filter out to and whether they are actually active clients. Alright, so what you're able to see is the client's primary information by clicking on either of these two little icons on the left hand side. So let's pop it open and have a quick look. So your advertiser basic details, you have all of the advertiser's regular details, which sector, where the lead has come from, which is going to be useful from a marketing perspective, the consultant if you have multiple consultants, the status, addresses, alternate contacts, their current advert. As I said, these don't match at the moment, we just use them for examples, but their current advert, you can upload their advert here, their contract history, their invoice history. So what you have is a complete overview of that particular client at any point in time. This is also where you will activate and deactivate a client and where you will delete them should they need to be deleted. You will also open up a new contract for them from this point. So if you have a potential advertiser who starts off as a lead, becomes a potential, and eventually becomes an advertiser, that's where this function will be utilized. Alright, so basically you've got that sort of function with every one of your advertisers. There are 15 displayed on a page, and you can obviously use the paging facility at the bottom to navigate your way around. Alright, so that's pretty much it from your advertiser's perspective. Alright, so moving on to your drop points. To look at how your drop points are handle. That will give you a list of all of your drop points in your system, along with a status for each drop point. Now in this example, we have 14 drop points which total 175 publications, 175 coffee news which need to be distributed. All right, this 175 will only be from active drop points. So if we need to switch a drop point off for a day or for a week or two, whatever the case is, we can change them to pending. They will get removed out of the circulation and they will then get put back in again. Alright, so this 175 in essence equates to your current print quantity for that, your coffee news at that particular point in time. Alright, so you obviously have your statuses, you have whether they are active, you have your name search. And what we can do is we can have a quick look at the drop points themselves. Let's go to the corner bistro. Alright, and we have the drop points information, contact people, the type, sector, what kind of sector they're in, the drop quantity, the lead status, addresses, notes, okay, a map along with different contacts revolved around that drop point. So everything that you need to see about that drop point is in a single place. Now this map is generated from the address details that are put in, so nobody needs to go and create a map. The system does it for you, providing you put in the address details as required. In a similar fashion to our advertisers, we can also deactivate drop points and delete the drop points as we go along and as drop points come in and go out of our coffee news distribution. Alright, so we have a fairly good overview of our print quantities and of each particular drop point and all of the contact details around that drop point. Right, so moving on currently to our calendar and the left hand side of the main page. Okay, so for each particular day you will see a list of tasks that you've set for yourself, be they reminders, be they things that you just need to remember to do, be they appointments, or whatever the case is. That is entirely up to you, and each one needs to be connected to a client. Alright, so if you hover your mouse over, you will see down in this area here the information around that particular transaction. So the idea behind this is using the calendar to remind yourself of when contracts need to be renewed, when deadlines need to be made for particular people, when things have to be submitted, when you're expecting information back from clients, approvals for adverts, or whatever the case is. You will fill up this list of tasks on the left hand side so that you don't forget anything. Basically, as long as you use this correctly, you should be on time for everything that you need to achieve. Alright, so let's go and have a look at one quickly. It's basically a very simple process. There's your client, the date, who needs to do it, what needs to be done, okay, the time taken if it's known, okay, this is where you obviously mark whether that task has been completed or not. Once you mark it as complete, it will disappear out of your diary, but it will remain in history. Alright, when you save it, we will see an activity log here for that particular client, along with all of these steps that have taken place with them. Alright, so this is very, very useful, and very quickly I will show you how the screen will change should you need to utilize your calendar on a mobile device. So what I'll do is I will alter the size of the screen quickly just for you to have a look and see how it works. Basically, on a mobile device, your application will look a little bit like this, and you will see that at the top is your calendar, and as you scroll down you will see the rest of the information. So in essence, what has been created is a an application which adjusts itself. Is called a responsive web application, which adjusts to the size of your mobile device, be it a tablet or a phone or whatever the case is. To pull out anything that's in your normal toolbar, you will do it in this fashion here. Alright, so just reverting back to full size, and there we have our full size. So we can see that if we're using this system on a mobile device, our calendar is the very first thing that we see at the top of our display. And to log a new entry, we literally click on the day, select the criteria, hit save, and it will let's go to coffee shop. Okay, and test notes, and this will now appear on the 22nd. Oh, we haven't got the 22nd, so what we'll do is we will go to the calendar, and we will see that there is the 22nd. There's the entry in our full calendar view. Alright, so we have a full calendar view along with summaries, which makes it very easy to see what our appointments and tasks are, how they are currently standing, or what needs to be done. Right, so we will come back to the likes of your reports and your expenses and that kind of thing, but what we're focusing on at the moment is the pure getting information into the system, the managing of all of our contracts, our appointments, and making sure that we stay on top of all of those. So what we'll do is we'll move on to this section here, which is in essence the nuts and bolts of the income of your business, which is all of your contracts. Alright, so the display is relatively straightforward as per already explained. So what we will do is we will go through the different statuses and when things are flagged. Alright, so what we'll do, let's start off with one where there's no flag. So let's go to African Roots, and we will see that in this example we have African Roots Coffee. We can get to the primary details from here. We have their contact details here. If there was an email address in the system, it would appear here. Contract is number 3. That's their contract type. That's their first edition date. That's their last edition date, and that is their advert. Alright, so now the contract is running from the 3rd of October through to February, and this is the invoice list. So we have an invoice for October, we have an invoice for November, and if we have a look at this line, we made notes around the October invoice that we needed to talk to him about at that time. There's the value of the invoice, plus we can see here that the invoice has been paid for October. So in other words, October at this current point in time is as it should be. November, as we can see, is flagged because it has not been paid yet. Alright, so with the date being where it is, this is within 30 days of where we are now, so the system sees it as this amount is not outstanding as of this time. Alright, to have a look at an invoice itself, we can literally pop it open from here, and we will see we have that information, and here is our invoice information. Alright, we can add notes. This is invoice number 28, the date of the invoice, a reference, any notes that we want to put in. We can add any additional lines that we want onto our invoice. Okay, and basically our invoice value and everything will adjust automatically. We obviously have the ability now to go to a print preview and a print of our particular invoice, and obviously your respective details for each of your different franchises, different editions, etc. will change according to whoever is booked in. You will have the ability to print, to download as preview PDFs, or whatever your requirements are. Alright, so you have the ability to generate invoices and to then obviously monitor the cash flow around that invoicing process as well. Alright, so that was an example where this last invoice date is within 30 days of the current date. In this instance, we have this, which is red, which shows that this invoice that was created, the last invoice, is more than 30 days old. So if we open that particular advertiser, we can see they also have an October and November invoice, but if we look down the right hand side, we will see that neither of them have been paid. Alright, and hence it is flagged as red. Alright, if we have an instance like this, we will see that this person's contract runs between those two dates, and if we pop it open, we see that there are no invoices present, so that has never been invoiced. Okay, so in this manner you can now utilize in the beginning, end, and last invoice date. Okay, and where there's a red flag, or this has changed red, or that has changed red, it will indicate to you that that record and advertiser and their contract needs attention, and you need to attend to them in whatever shape or form is required. So in a very quick overview, when you first log on and you see this screen, down the left hand side you have all of your tasks and appointments that have been set, that things that you need to do. Here you have all of your active contracts along with the beginnings, the ends, the last invoice date, so you can manage your invoicing, you can manage all of your advertisers, you can manage everything from this particular point. So the objective is for you to be able to see things at a glance. Obviously from this screen is where you would now capture a new invoice for the same contract, where you will go through and capture the relevant information, and it would then carry itself forward. Alright, so that is pretty much what we have got available for you at the moment, and as the system progresses slightly more, we will release further information. Thanks very much for watching.